find pretty much all the old lives there. So a few of you have asked me to go through a step-by-step about how to do the expenses part of the expenses part of the profit calculator. So I'm going to give you 3 really easy steps to do that and to work out the business expenses. But first I just wanted to explain a little bit more about what I do, because some of the newer members have asked me, what do I do, to explain what I do, and that they just need, they just want to understand a bit more. So I just want to I was going to tell you about what I do. As I'm going to give you an example. So I love boiled eggs, and I know this is going to sound a bit strange. And when I make boiled eggs for breakfast, I always do a couple of extra boiled eggs that go into an egg and lettuce sandwich, or I use for my salad, or for just a quick snack before I do a coaching call. I don't know if does anyone else love boiled eggs? Like, just tap in there, I love boiled eggs. So what I always do is I do a couple of extra ones. And have you ever tried to peel a boiled egg that has been boiled, and it's a cold boiled egg, and it's really hard to peel? So it's extremely difficult to peel. So you're probably wondering, what on earth does this have to do with finances? But I promise you, I'm getting there. So we have a favorite cafe, and I am really friendly with the chef. And the chef and I often swap ideas about food and about recipes and food ideas. And I said to him one time, I said, I have this thing about boiled eggs. And he said, oh, look, that's super easy. That is super easy. What you do is you tap the shell. Once you finish boiling them, they're hard boiled, you tap the shell, you put them in cold water. So I've done this a number of times, and it does not work. It doesn't work for me at all. So anyway, this morning I tried something else. I tapped the whole egg. Man, I tapped that shell, tap, tap, tap all over the shell, and I put it in the cold water, and guess what? The shell just fell away easily. So I realized that when Scott said to me, tap the shell, he meant tap the whole shell. What I thought he meant was tap it once or twice, and that's all I had done. So that's exactly what happens when we talk to our bookkeepers and our accountants. They know what they're talking about, just like my friend Scott, the chef, knows exactly what he's talking about when he says tap the shell. When your accountant is explaining something to you, they're explaining it from their accounting point of view, not from the point of view of you, who isn't an accountant. You are a Pilates instructor, or you are a dentist, or you are an artist, or you are a graphic designer. And so, they're explaining the accounting terms. So that's what I do. I take those complexities and I help you figure out the financials and make it easy to understand. I provide you with powerful information to really lift your financial understanding and build your business acumen, to help you feel confident when it comes to all things money. So most people find themselves in a situation where they have a business, and they could have been running the business for a while, or they've only been doing it for a few years, and they just don't have a grasp on their financials because the numbers bit is confusing. It's a lot confusing. Bridget, I love boiled eggs, absolutely. And we get the most beautiful free range ones. So making most of the decisions when people are in their business, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to set my phone right there, and because I need to draw something on this, I might set it over there, because I need to be able to draw and you need to be able to see me. That's a bit better. I can keep talking. So what happens is, people make their decisions based on what's happening on the day. They're not based in fact, being reactive, doing things by the seat of their pants, winging it, doing it by a knee jerk. And when it comes to having conversations with their accountant, they either don't understand the language, or they look at the reports and actually don't even know what they're looking at. So what I have found in my 20 years of working with business owners is that about 95% of people find themselves in what I call the red zone. Now, I'm just going to draw something up here. I just need to make 100% sure you can see. Can you see my circle? Oh, you can. Oh, it's a little bit lower than I expected it to be. Okay, let me just move this. Oh my goodness, I'm working in a different space today. There we go, we've got that circle. So 95% of people find themselves in this, oh my goodness, there we go. 95% find themselves here. 95% find themselves in the red zone. They find themselves in the red zone and they don't know what's going on. Don't know. They're not knowing what's going on. They're not understanding. And they base their financial decisions not on data, not on facts. They avoid conversations with their accountants. They avoid looking at the numbers. They avoid looking at the reports. And here's the thing, there's actually only about 5% are in this green zone. 5% is in this green zone. And so we've got this lovely green zone, and there's about 5% of business owners actually find themselves there. And when they're in the green zone, their numbers are up to date. Their numbers are up to date. They're making decisions based on solid facts. They're tracking their numbers. They're using solid data. They're tracking dollars. They're tracking numbers. Their decisions, they pay themselves on a regular basis. They pay themselves. And this is the 5%. They're knowledgeable, they feel in control, they feel confident, they truly feel like a business owner. So if you find yourself in the red zone, and I know some of you are kind of hovering somewhere in here, so if you find yourself in the red zone, the key actually isn't wanting to be in the green zone. It's not about dreaming about how to get into how to be in the green zone. It's all about what happens on this, what I call the blue line. So this line is blue. This is a blue line, and it is what people do on the blue line that gets them from the green zone. It's what they've done that gets them from the red zone into the green zone. So that's what allowed them to cross. So that is what I do. So when people say to me, what do I do? Is I teach people. I work with people to cross this blue line, to move from this red zone into the green zone. And so if that sounds like something that that's what we're working on here in the Profit Lab, but I am running a short, sharp group program called Focus on Financial Basics in a couple of weeks to take people across the blue line. So if you're in the red zone, if you feel like you're in this red zone and you want to know how to cross that blue line, please type blue in the comments. Okay, so thank you. If I see some blues there, and I know there's some people live, and I know there's a lot of people watch this on the replay, so I shall be looking out for blue in the comments. So today I want to give you the 3 complete steps to complete the business expenses section of the calculator. So what do you need, where do you start, and what to do next? Green is good indeed. Yes, green is absolutely is good. Let's go. Okay, so first, before we even do any of this, I suggest you set aside a dedicated time. So make a diary date with yourself as if you were, it's an appointment for yourself, dedicated time to do this, not in the middle of any other task. Set aside 30 minutes. Turn off everything. That do not disturb button on your phone, if you don't know where it is, it's in the settings. Do not disturb is your best friend. Please type that in the chat right now. Do not disturb is my best friend. I use it all the time. And I promise you, when you set yourself 30 minutes to do this task, it will go so fast. You'll wish you'd given yourself more time. So the first thing is to actually set aside some time for that. So, you know, if this afternoon, as soon as you get off this, you're going to set aside the next 30 minutes to just get started on it, that's what you need. So what you need to fill in your expenses part of the profit calculator is you need last year's profit and loss, or your tax return will be the absolutely easiest way. Log into Xero or MYOB or QuickBooks, or get your Excel spreadsheets out, whatever it was that you use to track all your expenses. Pull out your credit card statements, your bank statements, any of the emails from your suppliers. And here's a tip about that. I absolutely, when you get an email that is about your expenses, have a file that is called the end of the tax year that you're currently in. Bridget says, do not disturb is my friend. Yes, it is. It's do not disturb is my friend. DND is tops. Do not disturb. Exactly. So So when you get emails from someone, so like even this morning, so because it's the end of the month, I got a couple of emails saying, you know, the invoice from this business, the invoice from this business, and I just don't even open them. I tick them because they all go straight to a credit card. I tag them and I put them into a folder in my emails that says 2021, because 2021 is the June date when my when the tax return year finishes for us. So if you're in America, it would be 2020 for December. If you're in England, it will be the end of March, so it would be 2021, March 21. So it's a really good idea to have a folder named the end of your financial year, and all of your emails that relate to your finances, your expenses, go in there. Then when you're looking for something later, you know how to find them. So anyway, that's just an extra tip, a bonus one that I was thinking about when I saw that there email from your suppliers. So this is where you go. You get that folder up, you get your bank statements out, any of the receipts you have, and that's the shoebox reference. You know, anyone who's been around knows that the shoebox idea is people put them all in a shoebox, or maybe put them on a wing clip, or you've got them all in some place. But keep all your receipts together. So you need to gather all of that together first. So that's the first thing you do. Gather together all the financial information you have for the past 12 months in your business. Okay, and then where to start? So where you've got the profit calculator and there's the page that is the business expenses page, go to the top of that. Each expense line has a weekly column, a fortnightly column, a monthly column, or an annual column. And the reason I suggest you start at the top of it and don't jump around is because you could skip some lines. So if you start at the top and, you know, what are the things that are listed there? And as you work down the column, you then put in the expense in the one that it belongs to. So for example, I pay my Xero account monthly. So that would be the $50 that I pay every month for Xero would go in the monthly column. One of my VAs, I pay them weekly, and it's an average of, I don't know, $30 or $40. It's somebody who does some data collation for me on Upwork, and that's a weekly amount, so I would put that into weekly. Continual practice makes good order. Nice one, Bridget. Ooh, I love that. Continual practice makes good order. And you know, actually, you just remind me of something else that I heard recently, and I think I might have shared this with you before. But you know, we don't just clean our teeth once a month. You know, we do this little bit of incremental teeth cleaning every single day, probably twice a day, sometimes more often for some, but you don't really need more than twice a day. So you clean your teeth you don't just wait till the end of the month and clean them for a whole morning, do you? So that's great. There's continual practice makes good order. Love that. Okay, so you put your costs in there, and then what that will happen is that it will add up down to the bottom. Okay, so that's the first one is gather everything together. The second one is start at the top of the worksheet and work your way down, and then what to do next. So what to do next is make absolutely sure that you have added an amount to pay yourself. Superannuation and 401k, or whatever you call it wherever you are. Superannuation plus an amount to pay yourself. Now, whether you want to pay yourself weekly or monthly or fortnightly, then you put that in the column that it's in. So now, when you get to the total at the bottom, that is the amount of total expenses that it costs to run your business and that it costs to pay yourself. And if you've got a bigger business than just you and the service you provide, then that's where your P&L or your Xero profit and loss or your tax return from last year becomes really helpful to fill this in. So it's super important to get the total expenses figured out, because that's how much revenue you need in order for the business to be sustainable. Now, for those of you who are thinking, I'm not a numbers person, I totally get it. I hear that all the time from clients, and that's okay. You can learn this. It is like whatever you are doing right now. So whether you are a dentist or a physiotherapist or a Pilates instructor, or whether you do photography, or whether you make chai, or whatever it is you do, you weren't born doing that. You had to learn how to do that. And business skills are just another skill that you can learn. And so what is super, super important as part of this, and here's a clue to getting across this, to actually crossing this blue line, you know, this understanding that business is a skill that you can learn is part of the secret to getting across that blue line. Anyway, that's it for today. Do I have any questions? Remember, so here's the summary. Set your timer for 30 minutes. Get all your documents together. Start at the top of the page. Make sure you've paid yourself. And if you're keen to find out more about crossing that blue line, put blue in the chat and we will have a conversation about that. So if we don't have any questions, do not disturb your best friend. I appreciate you so much for being here every week. Thank you very much. It is really lovely to know that these webinars are being listened to, that you're starting to get your accounts in order. You know, I had a really wonderful session with a private client last week, and she was just saying that she is so grateful for starting to work with me. We've had a few sessions together and we've worked through her expenses, we've worked through her revenue model, we've looked at her pricing. And, you know, she truly has. She said to me, and she had cried because, you know, in all the years that she'd been in business, she had never been able to pay herself. And, you know, last Thursday when we were having our session, she said to me, Ingrid, I am so grateful because going forward, she can now pay herself. And we know we would do this stuff for free. We know that we love what we do so much we would do it for free, but we cannot do it for free. And there's a lot of reasons not to. And, you know, I've talked about this in other sessions and I'll talk about this till the cows come home. But, you know, knowing how much you can pay yourself, being able to be a viable business is the number one imperative. So thank you so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you all again next week.